warning doesn't come with drama. No sirens at first, no explosions, just a notification. Maybe the power flickers, maybe the internet stutters. Then the words you never expected to read land on your screen. Nuclear exchange confirmed. At that moment, almost everything people panic about is wrong. Cars, guns, cash, none of that matters yet. What matters is time, radiation physics, and whether you prepared for the part nobody talks about. You already know a bunker matters, so we're not talking about bunkers. We're talking about the 5 things that decide whether reaching that bunker or surviving inside it actually works. Because nuclear survival isn't just about blast, it's about what happens after. The first thing you must hide is potassium iodide. Not vitamins, not supplements. Actual potassium iodide tablets, sealed, stored away from heat and light. Here's the part most people misunderstand. Potassium iodide does not protect you from radiation. It protects one very specific organ from one very specific isotope. The thyroid absorbs iodine aggressively. When radioactive iodine is released during nuclear detonations or reactor damage, your thyroid doesn't know the difference. It absorbs it anyway. That exposure dramatically increases the risk of thyroid cancer, especially in children. Potassium iodide works by saturating the thyroid with stable iodine, so radioactive iodine can't bind. That's it. No more, no less. It must be taken at the correct time. Too early and it wears off. Too late and it doesn't help. This is why agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the FEMA warn against casual or repeated use. This is not a daily supplement. This is a timed countermeasure. Which is exactly why you hide it. Because once panic starts, it disappears from shelves instantly. And because misuse can cause harm, especially for people with thyroid conditions. You don't want to be guessing doses during fallout. If nuclear war happens, radioactive iodine exposure becomes a short-window problem with long-term consequences. This is one of the few interventions that actually reduces a specific cancer risk when used correctly. The second thing you must hide is a sealed, offline copy of critical information. Not cloud storage, not bookmarks, not apps. Paper. Printed instructions for radiation sheltering, decontamination steps, first aid protocols, communication plans, maps, emergency frequencies. Why? Because nuclear detonations don't just break buildings, they break infrastructure. Power grids, cell towers, satellites, data centers. The internet becomes unreliable or disappears. Even if devices survive electromagnetic effects, which is still debated depending on altitude and distance, battery life becomes the real enemy. Information is perishable in a crisis. People die not because they lacked supplies, but because they didn't know when to move, when to wait, when to wash, when to stay still. Printed material doesn't crash, it doesn't need power, it doesn't care about signal. And it should be hidden because once systems collapse, information becomes a resource, and resources attract attention. The third thing you must hide is uncontaminated clothing and footwear. This sounds minor. It isn't. After a nuclear detonation, fallout isn't an abstract cloud. It's physical particles, dust, ash, microscopic debris carrying radioactive material. It settles on surfaces, on skin, on fabric. Radiation exposure after the blast often comes from contamination, not proximity. The moment you move through fallout, your clothes become a hazard. U.S. Civil Defense guidance advises removing outer clothing quickly and isolating it. Doing that can eliminate a large percentage of external contamination. That only works if you have clean replacements ready. You don't want to be choosing between staying contaminated or freezing. Sealed clothing gives you a way to break the contamination chain. Clean socks, clean shoes, clean layers. Simple items that suddenly matter more than food in the first hours. People imagine radiation as something that passes through walls like magic. In reality, a lot of danger sticks to you. The fourth thing you must hide is a manual method of measuring time. Not a smartwatch, not a phone. A mechanical watch, a wind-up clock. Something that keeps time without power. Fallout decay is time-dependent. Radiation exposure drops sharply with time. The first hours are the most dangerous. Many sheltering decisions depend on knowing when enough time has passed. Without timekeeping, people make catastrophic mistakes. They leave too early. They expose themselves too long. This is why watches were standard equipment in Cold War civil defense kits. You don't need perfect accuracy. You need continuity. The fifth thing you must hide is sealed hygiene and decontamination supplies. Soap, water containers, towels, trash bags, gloves. Not disinfectants, not bleach baths. According to U.S. emergency guidance, gentle washing with soap and water removes radioactive particles effectively. Scrubbing aggressively damages skin and increases absorption. The problem isn't knowing this. The problem is having supplies when infrastructure collapses. Trash bags become containment tools, gloves become barriers, towels become filters, soap becomes protection. These are not dramatic items. They are quiet lifesavers. Now here's the part most people don't want to hear. None of these things guarantee survival. Nuclear war is chaos layered on physics layered on probability. Outcomes vary wildly. But these 5 things address what kills people after the blast. The invisible part. Cancer risk years later. Infection days later. Exposure hours later. Decision errors minutes later. Most people prepare for dramatic threats. Survivors prepare for subtle ones. You hide these things not because you expect to use them. You hide them because if you need them, there will be no time to search, no time to improvise. And because once panic starts, preparation becomes visible. Nuclear survival isn't about bravery. It's about understanding what actually kills you when everything else stops working, and preparing for that before you ever need to run. So here we are. If you're still listening, congratulations. You're already doing better than most people in a nuclear scenario because you didn't panic, you didn't click away, and you didn't assume this was someone else's problem. Now let's be clear, this does not make you invincible. You're not a movie hero. You don't suddenly glow green and walk through fallout like it's fog. But here's what it does make you. Prepared enough to not do the stupid things that actually kill people. You know what to protect. You know what to ignore. You know when not to move, not to eat, not to trust your instincts. And that's huge. Most people, when faced with something this extreme, will overreact or freeze. You won't. You'll be the calm one, quietly reaching for the boring items everyone laughed at yesterday. Soap, paper, old watches, plain pills with very specific instructions. Is it funny that survival sometimes depends on trash bags and printed pages? A little. Is it reassuring? Absolutely. So no, you're not ready for a nuclear attack in the heroic sense. But if one ever comes to your town, you won't be the person asking, "What do I do now?" You'll already be doing it. And in a situation like this, that's as close to winning as anyone gets. So that's it, folks. I hope our video will help you if these kind of situation emerges out of nowhere. And if you like our videos, share it with your friends and family so they also can survive in situation of life and death. Be safe. Be alive. We'll meet you in next one.